Right. A good thing to look for anytime that you're in the market for a classic car is if it's the style and model and whatnot that you are looking for, then it's always a good idea to get the VIN numbers off of the car or the data plate information, so that can be translated and figure out exactly how the car was equipped originally from the factory, to make sure that that it is what you're purchasing. That'll also tell you the rarity of the car, which can also determine the value and how it would stand in the market. And then, you know, when you go to see the car, be sure and always do a full inspection on the car. And if you're not sure about what to look for, then it's always a good idea to bring a professional in or have somebody that you can call. We help people all the time that are looking for classic cars. They'll call us with questions about cars that they've seen or located. We can even analyze photographs and talk you through an inspection of the car where you're at. And we'd be glad to do that. We don't charge anything for it. We just want to make sure that you get, you know, the right car for the right kind of dollar amount. Well, you need to always beware of a car that, in photographs, first off, in photographs, all cars look good. You can take and wash a car from the junkyard, take pictures of it in just the right angles, and it look like new money. So always beware of just buying one from an auction or anything without getting detailed photographs from the seller. Now, the things to beware of is a lot of times what will happen is they will just put a nice paint job on one. They'll just put body filler all over the corroded areas and rust issues, and just to put lipstick on a pig, you might say, okay? And then, you know, interior packages are cheap to do. They give great first impressions. So when you walk up to the car, you see a nice shiny paint job, a new interior, but then the rest of the car is falling all to pieces. So you always want to be sure and look the engine compartment over real good. Check for any kind of leaks around on the car. Anything that's unusual looking, question it. Look underneath the car, check all the suspension and the floor pans to see how clean they are, if there was any detail work put into them. And you know, it's just a good idea to do as much inspection as you can. If it's a sedan, open up the trunk, look inside the rear quarter panels, all inside the trunk areas, because those are areas that tend to get overlooked, and they're the telltale sign of any rust issues or any problems that have been repaired from the outside will show on the inside. Well, you know, time frames for restorations can vary. You know, from simple upgrades, it could just take you know, a week or two, to full-on restorations from the ground up. Depending on the car, depending on the availability of parts, depending on the aggressiveness of the customer as far as funding the project and to keep it moving along. All of these factors have something to do with the time frames. Obviously, all of this stuff takes a certain amount of time. You can't make paint dry faster than it's going to dry. You can't build an engine faster than an engine can be built. You know, shortcuts are going to be a problem, you know, in the end with the quality of your work. So normal restorations, you could expect anywhere from 6 months to 2 or 3 years, depending on the rarity of the parts and the condition that you start with. A pasture car, obviously, is going to take longer than a car that maybe's been left by a family member in the garage for 50 years and needs to be restored. So all of that has a factor in the length of time. Some do and some don't. Obviously they were daily drivers back in their day. So they don't typically have the safety features, the comforts and everything to use them as a daily driver. Obviously there are things that can be done to improve all of those factors. Also, the original classic versions of most of these cars were not that maintenance free. You had to work on them, you had to maintain them, you had to constantly tighten up stuff. A lot of these old cars came with tool kits in the trunk, and that was for a reason, because you constantly had to work on them. So as far as a daily driver, sure, they can be made to be a daily driver. Should you? They've done their time on the road. It's really a good time. They're retired, so they need to be treated as a retired vehicle, just for fun. Oh yeah, most restorations can also be, at least here at Gear Jamming Classics, what we do is we break the restorations down into stages. You typically, it's not just bring a car in, write a big check, and wait for us to call you that it's done. This is going to be a process that the owners of the vehicle are going to be involved in. We have a lot of options in the aftermarket that the customer needs to make those choices. We're going to recommend the better items, the more cost-effective items, things that are going to suit that customer to the base of the way that they're going to use the vehicle. Yeah. Yes, we break them down into stages, so that way they work better with the customer's budget. So when a project comes in, we'll analyze it. We do a full inspection on the vehicles. We'll make recommendations, have a meeting with the customer. Then we break the restoration down into stages, and usually that typically would involve, on a full restoration, would involve typically a full disassembly of the vehicle. We bag and tag everything for storage while the vehicle is being worked on. So, and then we'll break down the work orders into individual work orders. So we'll do like metal structure repair, we'll do chassis and brakes, we'll do engine and drive line, we'll do interior electrical, body and trim. We break them all down into stages and put them in the correct order, so that that as the project moves along, you can kind of follow along. We have a fully detailed expense reports for the customers that we have in our system, that are able to be emailed to the customer on a regular basis, so that they can track their expenses. They can also see the progress of their work orders, because those get sent to the customer also on a frequent basis. Photographs, we take digital photos of every step and every stage. There's a twofold reason for that. One, the customer can see what's going on, and two, we can look back to see what was. Okay, so sometimes if it's a 2-year process, and before the time comes that we're doing the final assembly and putting the vehicle back together, sometimes we need to go back and look. Every vehicle is a little different. Just because it's a Mustang or a Camaro or a Chevelle doesn't mean that it's the same as all the rest of them. So we have to look to see what emblems were in place, what condition the car was in, and the parts, and if we have everything. And so this helps document all of that. It also helps the customer when they go to insure the vehicle, so that You know, they'll have full documentation on everything that was done, everything that was spent. It's a full itemized list of every penny that has been spent on the car. Usually at the end of the project, you know, we can produce a jump drive that would have all your, maybe 1,000 photographs on it, all of your Excel spreadsheet work orders and expense report. Everything will be included on that for you so that you can have it for insurance, you know, future owners, or reference to refer back. If you want to service it and put a part on it, all the part numbers will be on all the work orders.